Alex Answer here, July 7th, 2017. So, this is probably the first time that I've talked about the ways that men are being targeted with these sex robots. And I don't really have specific details to get into regarding all the different companies, just like there's all these different companies that talk about going to Mars. But the reality of pairing human males up with robots, even making some robots cheaper over time for the non-elite, maybe somebody can put a few $1,000s down and make payments, maybe like getting their own land. Yeah, get their own robot bitch, robot whore. And then, of course, we hear about the pedophile dolls that are being created in Hong Kong. Now, think about this pedophile dolls in Hong Kong. I have a past of talking to you about warnings that China will be used when we go through this occupation in the future. They'll be doing some of the collecting of the women that have already been pre selected and targeted either by their bloodline or their pornography search habits. But there is this plan for America that's coming. And I am the only man, apparently, in a nation of millions, warning you about a specific scenario. And while your present reality may look, you know, turn their nose up or look down upon me, um, the future will be reminded that men like me did live during these years. So it's important for them, if they want to have this outcome, to break up the family unit. But it's more than the family unit because we are more than humans that should continue to procreate more for the archons, if you will, or the God of this world. What about love? Don't you need someone to care about you? Love is out. Okay. Smut is in. 50 Shades of Grey. Hit me, baby, one more time. We get into that in videos like this, and the nice guys finishing further last this year than they did last year and the year before. Something's happening within human consciousness, and if they can remove the good men from regular society and leave those women unprotected, and other men going in this direction of being so hurt that, look, they're not going to be content with masturbation. They need to feel that they're really fucking something, and they'll go with the robot. Now, being a male with a sex drive that has neutral views on it, negative views on it, and positive views on it. Negative, positive, and neutral views, and views that I covet and don't necessarily get into because it's too much information. But I view that whole thing of human sexuality as something that has a light spectrum, positivity, love, and then freedom, and then you have kind of a scale that goes into depravity. And we're more on the scale of no love, depravity, moving from person to person to person, which actually increases an STD risk, HPV, things of that nature, genital warts. So there's a lot of different reasons why some men are going in the direction of robots, and I'm going to kind of reflect on why I don't think that's something that I subscribe, support. I don't think it's a behavior that is healthy for men to go down. Masturbation is one thing. Getting in the habit of screwing chairs or inanimate objects because you have a male programming to procreate. Of We're going to look at this from a number of different angles without completely demonizing men entirely, but there is this root cause. Obviously, we talk about the lack of trust within society. It's not all super carnal. Well, when it comes to the idea of people being with robots, for some of them, it's not always a sexual thing. It's the idea of companionship. But it sounds crazy to build companionship with a robot. It sounds dangerous. I would even say that in the end days of this epoch or cycle, many men will be deceived as well because their sperm samples, just like a woman's eggs being harvested by the Greys, so to speak, these robots are working on behalf of AI, which is working on behalf of the Dark Grid or the Matrix or the Archons. Whether you agree with that or not, in the end, there's a reason why they're pairing us up with robots. And haven't they already done it with women in Facebook? I mean, there's a way you can mate with a robot or technology without putting your vagina on it or your penis in it, but using this as the interface. So we also treat each other like robots on Facebook. We have robot-like mating calls, and it's all very typical. It's all very sad. And like robots, men that may have been attractive to women 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I know I was, by bombardment of a false Islamic invasion meme, by a bombardment of a white genocide meme, even those women that are supposedly loving and light, they're still subconsciously programmed by that threat from the dark side of those women to stay away from those men. That's why some women also stay away from me. It's not necessarily a hatred, it's a programming that's so subconscious in the way that some sleeper agents, right, are programmed when they hear something and they hear a particular number of commands that they act on that. There could be people that are infected with a mind control to stay away from humans. They're from a certain part of the world. So anyway, unconscious men, and it's not just men like me, but other men, white men and black men, and all men of all different stripes and nationalities are having issues with women. But see, most of them don't look at reality like I do. Okay, a lot of them seem to be really a slave to their senses. So we are going to see a rise in the robot wives. There's nothing I can do or say to stop it. The human animal wiring to need to hump, just like you see people humping the Trump. Um, there is this dog humping of a leg thing that comes to mind. And how far away then are we from the dog humping the leg? With this many men needing to really hump a fake ass, hump a fake ass, hump a fake ass, because masturbation's not good enough for them. They have to hump a fake ass. They have to simulate beating up the doll. They have to simulate raping the little girl, right? They have to simulate doing. There's a dark beast thing that I'm going to say that they want to bring out in some men through this and through what they're doing with the robot woman. We can just do whatever you want to, just bring out a simulated beast net. That's not good. And those men, as far as I'm concerned, are being deceived themselves. They're going to find themselves sex slaves to that doll. Who knows what kind of games are going to be played on that male by the doll? Wow, I'm starting to get epiphanies I wasn't prepared for before I hit record. We think it's just about sex. It's about collecting sperm samples down the line once these robots, I mean, perhaps there's a way they can read that DNA or do something with that DNA and send it back to headquarters once it's inside the robot. Then if we really actually do, by the way, deal with an actual alien invasion, who's to say that some of these robots won't have something inside them, not to take you all the way to Stargate and the ghoul? Let me tell you what a DNA witch is, though. There's different types of DNA witches, and because of the things that my soul is here to do, some of the women that have come at me in a sexual sense have actually been witches. Once a vagina and a penis come together, and that person carrying the vagina or penis, if the female is the one under spiritual attack, once that connection is made, other entities can influence the DNA or read the DNA energy, read the auric field. So I don't think it's an accident that all of a sudden women were coming from out of the woodwork between the ages of 27, when they weren't really around, giving me any attention before that, when I was doing my television show and I was reaching the most people. All of a sudden people were coming around acting like they wanted to be a part of whatever I was doing, but just for the night. Then I started to feel my energy was being sucked upon and my emotions are being manipulated. And it was more carnal an experience than I realized what women were like. I thought they were more on the loving, emotional, let's stay together, together. It's like I really am from another world or generation. What is happening now is not so good. And we go through cycles and where people there's love and there's not love, or war and peace. Right now, we're going into some sort of a despotic Middle Ages, and it's turned sexuality vile. So anyway, some men that still want to be sexual, but masturbation won't do it, they want these robots so they can act out their fantasies and not have the drama to go with it. And by and large, a ton of men are for this. And I think they'll make it more affordable, and they'll have cheaper versions. Obviously, they have things like blow-up dolls or other things. And so they're going to advance that to the point where it's communicating back with us. I would suggest that man work on communicating with his higher self. Going from not having a communication with your higher self and not knowing what's going on with the world and not knowing what's going on with the female and male mind control to just be these sex bot addicts. Both of our genders, all of humanity, as much as humanity as they can get in their little bot web. You think about the surveillance those robots could be doing on those they're watching that falsely think that they are the master over the robot. There's also this movie over here. What is it called? Yes. I thought that I would maybe just do a video review of Ex Machina by itself. But a guy, ironically, from Portland, who's probably never had a real girlfriend or love, right? He falls in love with this robot. And he's been hired by this other guy who owns the robot to take part in a study to see how real the robot is. So he would talk with the robot every day and test it. And over time, the robot started to show feelings of love to this man that he believed was real. He believed that he was feeling a real sense of love towards this robot. Then he and the robot come up with a plan to help the female robot that he's starting to become attracted to. And then he found out you can't have sex with the robots. So now he's starting to get horny. He's thinking, oh, this is an animated, futuristic robot, hottie, and she is all about developing a loving rapport with this man who's never been with a woman. It's really fucking sad. In the end, the robot uses him. AI uses him. He thinks he can get away from the games of the human female, so he runs to the robot female, who, along with another female robot, kills the owner of the company and locks in the guy that would have helped or tried to help this robot escape. The robot instead locks the guy that tried to help her escape inside the building, which in the movie is like some futuristic off-grid, like scientific base. Not so much run by the military, but run by this guy who is killed by the robot. So here we have the mask here and the symbolism. So I would say that I have noticed a really strong propaganda campaign to get us men to think about this being normal, to have robot lover dolls. And I'm going to advocate against it. I'm going to keep echoing what I just said. Masturbation is one thing. Going then to having high technology in your home, knowing we live in a surveillance society, knowing there are other weird things going on, men could be targeted in particular ways that I'm not even coming up with, but the very base fundamental level, because we know allegedly what's happened to some females in this nation. See, I think there are waves in which the men and women of this planet, when their sperm and their eggs are harvested. And there are waves in this because there are periods in which, whether it be the frequency, the solar flares, or something else, there are certain periods in which there's more interference in human relationships and human sexuality, and there seems to be more of a harvest where they're able to intersect with our world, get what they think they want for their hybrid babies to fly their ships or whatever. I know some of you weren't prepared for that, but I don't think we're alone in the universe. I think that we are a part of a larger harvesting clone farm. And now it's becoming more obvious than ever that this is a mirror of a more conscious humanoid world, because it makes no other sense to me why the human Homo sapien female would be more attracted to the Marine, would be actually disgusted by men like me that are screaming with megaphones about what they're doing to women in the Middle East. That's not a normal female population. This isn't a normal clone population with a healthy sex drive. We've been engineered to create the dark warrior. And I don't mean skin tone. I'm talking about the warrior that fights for evil, not good. And for men and women to have a sexuality to procreate more humans that are receptive to that programming, and to pass on cultural programming, and to continue to be silent about a genocide of other bloodlines that are more native to the earth, that have their roots in Samaria. What is it about these new humans, by the way, that have their war on the ancient peoples of the world as we move into transhumanism, as they chemtrail with the robotics, with the GMO, with the smart meters, with the mind control application of the cell phone towers? How is all of this connecting and tying together? So this is just something to think about. It's not something to laugh about. I think people laugh when they see traumatic things they don't understand. They just start laughing, going, what the fuck, dude? But it's not funny. They're making a joke to kind of put us at ease. Look at these pathetic men. But no one's really thinking about what really is going to be of the world of women when they really take down the family unit, and sexuality is more perverted, but the real love that comes from sexuality, which is what we're missing. we're missing powerful love making. If the whole world was making real love with all different types of humans, oh yeah, I said it. Go ahead, pick up a rock, try to smash me in the face with it, call me a fucking Jew. I don't care. If the whole world was involved in a love making process, the whole planet would probably just start lifting above the friggin' ground. I swear to God, there is so much negativity that's so opposite of a real love making between humans that there's no accident why there's callings going on the planet, why we're going into slavery, why American women are at risk of bad men hurting them. It's because the good men are leaving society, or certain good men are left in the street, and they may continue to be a good soul, but they may be a very challenged soul, a man without money, a man without a home to put a woman in. So the woman, as an animal homo sapien who may think she's spiritual, she is going to be with the man who is making the money from this system, or the homeless poor man who's just pleasing the woman, but not going to make the woman dizzy with thoughts that I might share. That's why you see so many women that are on the street doing drugs in bad situations with bad men. It's because those men aren't encouraging them to think too hard. There's something else that's the basis of their relationship. So we ourselves are the robots. Biological robot androids, people with Android phones, that are incrementally having orgasms with robots, not even being suspicious about any DNA residue, sperm cell, egg for any women they're going to be having sex with male robots in the future. And if these robots are able to please us humans and they make male robots that actually could have something that is mirroring the effect of a penis in the way that they have done with these synthetic vaginas and pocket pussies, then how far away are their Terminators really, when we know that that technology already exists? So they're opening up the door to one level, only to take us to the next. In a day and age, mind you, where the robot Terminator apocalypse does exist, only it's not chasing white people in America. It's killing the Afghans of Afghanistan. With that, we'll leave it on that note.